This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome once again to the Sunrise Safari. We are up in the Mara Triangle, where once again it is a beautiful 17 degrees Celsius, 83 degrees Fahrenheit. Pretty constant, pretty standard temperatures around these parts. Good evening, good morning, whatever it might be for you. My name is Steve, and I'm joined on camera once again by the one and only Big James. And please feel free to send your questions, comments through #SafariLive. Follow us on the YouTube stream. We'd love to hear from you. Remember, keep your questions relevant and put in the all-important @FC, and hopefully you'll get your name on the screen. Well, this is what we've got to show you for the moment. There is a beautiful sun rising in the distance. It is still probably 15 to 20 minutes or so from cresting. But we left the Olololo Pride not far from here on our way up the mountain last night. And, well, I heard zebras having a bit of a hard time down the bottom here. David is with us as well this morning. He's probably going to be heading south towards the Sausage Tree Pride. We're just going to have a little scratch around here, and no doubt we'll probably find a lion or two. And then after that, well, we'll make some decisions. Maybe we'll head into the marsh this morning, see if we can, well, continue our record with Black Rhino. Maybe we'll even visit the bat-eared fox den. Who knows? It is a beautiful day, and maybe we'll even get to do a medicinal plant that I wanted to do yesterday, but, well, we ran out of time in the darkness with lions, but I have got a very special one in store. So jump on board. It's not that cold in the Mara, but a jacket is advisable for the wind chill factor, a pair of binoculars, and some enthusiasm. And if you bring a cup along, you'll most certainly be able to share our coffee. Well, David Gitu is not far in front of us, and he stopped to look at some beautiful elephants.
Well, good morning, everyone, and hopefully Steve will be able to catch up with the Olololos that he had last night. My plans today is to go and look for the sausages, and the reason I want to do that is because there's one female which has been very close to, to drop or to pop up her cubs, and I'm like, it's not today. If it was not yesterday, then it should be tomorrow. Anyway, we have had a good start here with some Ellis, small breeding herd, some young calves there. Not bothered with the beautiful sun as it's pushing up on the eastern horizon. And you notice this time of the day, it's a lot because it's still very cool. I'm looking at one of them, Bungay. There's one at the back that doesn't seem to have a tail, or it have like half a tail. Do you see that guy behind there? If you back up that one, I guess. I'm not sure it's that one. There's one there. Very good. Look at her, basically, I would say. The tail is like a stump. And this we have seen a lot in the Mara, and we have always wondered what causes this. Crocodile bites when they cross the river. MDR, a very good morning. Hopefully it's your morning for you, and always such joy to hear your name. And yes, what a sky, what colors are out there, and to have the elephants in the foreground, it just please make you remember this is a very interactive safari. Should you have any questions or comments like the one I just got from MDR, you're more than welcome to send them through using #SafariLive. How beautiful is this? There's maybe an elephant making a bit of noise there in the background. Hello, elephant. Good morning. Beautiful light. Excellent. So, before we go to Sydney, I want to remind you my name. My name is David, and filming with me today is Bungay. And all the way in South Africa, we have a gentleman who I've always believed have the best smile, and his name is Sydney. We are right here next to one of the biggest animals. He's just there. You can see that is a beautiful elephant who is now very relaxed feeding. My name is Sydney and welcome on board. This is the beginning of the morning guided walk, and you can send your questions and comments on Twitter, #SafariLive. My plan this morning is to look for the cats, but now I am already fortunate enough to have the big animal. He's very much relaxed at the moment, and there's quite a lot of green there. Elephants are very peaceful animals. Only when they are stressed as a result of injuries and fighting sometimes, and also when the bull is on mast, that is when they can be dangerous. But at this stage, I can promise you I'm not seeing any sign of aggression at the moment. This is quite a very nice and big elephant. You know, the big elephants, they are not aggressive as the teenagers. Teenagers, due to the amount of testosterone when they are growing, is the ones who likes to investigate, and they always want to prove themselves. But these old ones, they are very much less aggressive. Yes, if you disturb them, they are going to be aggressive. It's normal. It's a wild animal. So elephants has got a very big hearing ability. So every time you'll see them doing like this, when they're doing like that is when they're trying to cool their body temperature. And again, the very same ears is used in order to show the level of aggression. When it's not happy, this is what it's going to do. It's going to do like this, and you see the ears doing like this. Then you must know that there's a problem. Oh, there's a big thunder somewhere not far. I can hear it drumming. So this is exciting. At least this vegetation is going to have some rain anytime soon. The weather at the moment here, I can see is getting overcast. So these elephants don't have to spend much energy today by flapping the ears. The weather is on their favor. This is one of those very nice and good sightings. This elephant is so much relaxed, so relaxed. My Elidang microphone is here. Look, I am going to have it just now. So the thing is, every morning I must have to get a new one because the microphone, the elephant droppings, they can break easily. So here, I'm sure you can hear me very well now. 1, 2. 1, 2. Yeah, the mic is working. So now, the audio checks 100%. You can hear me nicely now. So my microphone is back. So this elephant can be able to eat up to 400 kilograms, and that is quite a lot. They can drink about 150 to 200 liters of water. So you can see that these big animals, they are not destructive. That is how they live. They need a lot of food and a lot of water. So in other words, to have the elephants in the property, you must be having quite a lot of water availability and nutritious vegetation. This is a big elephant. Look at that. Look at him there. This is a very big elephant. This is incredible. This is quite a good experience. Look at that. Look at that trunk. Look at how big is that. He's not even worried about our presence at all. What a great morning to start with this elephant.
So my microphone is not just a microphone. This is a microphone which is a part of my first aid. The bush first aid, this is very important. So I am talking here from a microphone which is also a medicine. Look at that. So now, let's quickly go to the wild dogs right at the Vuyotela Pan. Lauren is waiting to show you the wild dogs.
So yes, everybody, we have something really exciting ahead. My name is Lauren, and this may be the first time you are seeing me, or some of you may recognize me from Dive Live, but this dogs drinking at the pan. Bear with me, this is a really exciting morning. So we can see them up ahead if you just want to take a look over there. And they're going for a morning drink. This was not a... So we're just going to stop here. We did actually come down to this area in search of Hosanna. We were not expecting to find wild dogs. We actually thought it was hyenas first. We didn't realise it was the dogs. Look at them. This is only my personal third sighting of seeing these dogs. They don't really have territories. They roam, they wander, so it's not so easy to find them. They do have dens, but unfortunately not here on Juma. We did think they were going for a drink, but they seem to be listening and smelling at the moment. Yeah, there's definitely something interesting on the ground there. Hello to everyone too. I'm very excited to be here. This is a thing that expect the unexpected. Yes, there's definitely something on the ground there. They're drinking. You can see the water dripping off their chins. They've probably had quite an active night and now they're drinking. What amazed me about these wild dogs was they do look like dogs. Domestic dogs, I mean. They don't particularly strike me as much different. Of course they're not, but just the resemblance between domestic dogs is uncanny. They have a very fox-like body. That surprised me. I wasn't quite expecting that when I first encountered these wild dogs. This is amazing. Yes, that is correct. It is such a rare sighting to start off with wild dogs. I've only had one sighting where they were running extremely fast, but at least here they're a bit more static, so we can actually take a really good look at them. And look at these huge Mickey Mouse ears. They do look a bit comical, but they're obviously have very astute hearing. You can see them moving the ears there, and they're listening to what's going on around them. That mottled pattern that you can see on each of their bodies is unique to each individual dog. Beautiful tri-coloured. Oh, and look, what do we have here? We have one of my favourite animals, a hyena. Now this is going to be a really interesting interaction. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. The hyena has spotted the dogs. I think something might have happened here last night. Child of the universe, nice to hear from you. I believe, let's take a little look together. I believe around 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Yes, 6 of them. And there's one lone hyena approaching very cautiously. The dogs don't look to be too alarmed. No, the hyena's slinking off the other direction. The dogs definitely outnumber the hyena, of course, at the moment, unless there's more of them around. So considering we came here in search of a leopard and we now have a hyena and some dogs, this has blown my mind a little bit here. And this is, oh, here we go, the dogs have spotted the hyena. They're all moving together. The hyena's very aware. It's difficult to identify, so I'm not from this distance, but this hyena is very aware that it's outnumbered and it's been spotted. This is the most intense interaction I've had out here, and it happens to be my first one live with you all. And honestly, I'm not sure what would happen if the hyena came any closer. Would there be a fight? Would there be a stand? And this actually gives you a really good comparison between the two sizes of these animals. We were able to see dog, and then we were able to see, oh, what's that dog called? Look. He's in a little bit of play here. Being protective of what they have in their mouths here. Make sure the hyena doesn't get it, whatever it is. It's in their pack. They will travel together. They will hunt together.
Well, talking of predators like hyenas, I have a different predator here, which is pretty small. What is in Africa? And it is a savocat, which is walking very slowly through the grass, looking for either chicks or eggs of birds. And she just stopped there. I don't know what she saw there. They're some of the smallest, I'd say, carnivores we got in Africa, or one of the smallest cats. And you notice they blend in very well in the grass. I'm not sure whether to call that a camouflage or do they hide very well. And what they'll keep doing is looking for eggs, and more so some birds called lapwings, Senegal lapwings, spur-winged lapwings, black-crowned lapwings, white-eyed lapwings. So, and what the lapwings will do is to try and fly in a different direction, just to try and mislead them, and then the savocats will go in a different way. I just want to back up slowly and then move forward. Bungi, allow me just to back up slowly and then see if we could be able to see her again. You normally see them late in the evening or at night. They are rather shy and a bit secretive, not more, just like the cheetahs. You rarely see them very active or busy during the day. Bungain, do you remember the last place you saw it? Say that again. Let's see if we are going to find her again. She stopped somewhere here. Let's see if we can see her again. She just stayed still, and you can hear in the background the lapwing still making the noise because they're not very happy or comfortable with her being there. She's and she might have gotten herself some chicks. That's the bush we last saw her. I wonder if she's going to come out. And when they don't move, you almost don't see them. Solitary cats are also just like the cheetahs, or like most spotted cats, cheetahs and leopards. Unless you see two, a pair mating, or two or three, a mother and her cubs. can just hear all the small little bars making a lot of noise, showing their discomfort with her being around. But apparently we can't see her now. I'm just guessing she must have gotten herself some meal. And most likely chick eggs, they eat very quickly. But if it's a chick, they have to struggle to get the feathers out. Savocat, where do you go? Well, I think she has decided to hide. I'm going to spend just another 1 minute here. If she doesn't show up, we'll move on. But I think Steve got more serious or more cuts that can be seen.
Good luck, David. I hope you managed to follow that little serval for a little while, and hopefully it is the mum what we had last week. That would be very special to see. Well, we chose a road. We drove down it. A male and a female lion lying in the grass. I'm not 100% sure who they are at the moment. He's an enormous male, beautiful big mane on him, and a very pretty lioness. We are in the area of the Olololo Pride, with a little bit of an overlap of the Marsh Pride, so it's really hard to say with just that visual of who they are. But a male and female being together like this, well, it generally means one thing, ladies and gentlemen. Love is in the air. Well, for now, they're very sleepy, but who knows? If it is a mating pair, we haven't come across them in the last little while. It might be a very new union, and if it is, generally in the early stages of male-female mating, with lions that is, it's normally every 7 minutes for the first half a day or so, and then it slowly starts moving to 8 minutes and eventually getting up to 15, 20 minutes, sometimes even as much as 30 minutes towards the end when both parties, well, are rather tired. But for now, they seem very content to be having a very lovely Leonian slumber. I don't think any animal quite knows how to sleep as well as a lion. There's nothing really out here to bother them, so, you know, we see Tingana and Hosana having proper sleeps, don't we? But, well, they've always got to be a bit wary because, you know, they've got to be able to climb a tree in case something booms out of the long grass towards them. But a big male lion like that, well, he doesn't care. Tucked his head in. Magnificent specimen, isn't he? Mane running all the way down his back. We were discussing it with the kids yesterday on the school drive. The purposes really of the mane, number one being, why fight every male you see? First of all, we all know that lions are very vocal and they call their territories, and, well, other males will invariably not come closer if they don't want to challenge. Just through the call, they'll be like, okay, sounds like that guy's big, I'm not going to go that side. And then secondly, if they do see him with an enormous mane like that, Sharon just made a comment, the way that these two are sleeping seems as if the action is over for the night. Well, Sharon, that's very possible, but maybe they're not even in a couple relationship. See how she moved and he moved? I think they most certainly are in a coupling relationship. As soon as she moved himself, and when you find a male lion this close to female, it's invariably 100% that they are in a mating relationship. But to get back to the mane, if this individual came across that big male lion on the right, that is, if he came across a younger male with a sort of more scraggly brown rather than really dark mane, well, the other male invariably just sort of leaves him alone, because the thought is that the testosterone through fighting actually leads to darker manes. But we'll come back to that. Let's go back down to Lauren, who's having a fantastic start to her day.
Yes, so we are still with the wild dogs here who have been engaging in lots of play while we've been waiting. We did lose some signal, so we apologise about that. We do have Mr. Henry on the camera behind us, so in case you hear any instructions, that's whose voice it is. So there is actually more dogs than I originally thought. There's about 8 dogs here. Excuse my morning vision. There's 4 older ones and what appears to be 4 younger ones. Now they are all centred around this little pool of water, definitely having a drink. I would say that they have already made a kill recently, and now this is them topping up on the water, and they've just been engaging in so much play, just like your average domestic dog would do at home. There's been some submissive moves where the dog's got down on its front legs, and there's also been some nipping and biting, but generally lots and lots of play. They don't seem to be ready to leave the water source just yet, and hopefully they don't. Wild dogs can move incredibly fast. Their long legs can take them far and fast, so we hope that they don't go anywhere just yet. Now, we did lose sight of the hyena, so we don't know where that is. It's probably wandered off, knowing that it's not a great idea to be outnumbered 8-1. Yep, looks like they're taking a little bit of a rest as well. I didn't catch who the question was from, but how big are the wild dogs? I would compare them to your average border collie. So I would probably say border collie size, maybe even fox size. They're definitely not as big as I would have assumed in my head before I arrived here. They're not so tall, maybe around 70 centimetres tall, which is around just over 2 foot. And they're definitely not as muscular or have as much mass as a hyena. They're a lot smaller than hyenas. They're very delicate, actually. And obviously they're built for speed. They're very agile. And these dogs hunt by coursing. So they just go after their prey. They don't stalk, they don't hide like the big cats are known to do. They will just run. They have so much stamina, so much energy. They basically outrun and exhaust their prey. So that's indeed what they're built for. They're also known to consume their prey right then and there, their kill. They don't need to drag it back anywhere like hyenas do. So they're obviously not got that massive shoulder mass and the sort of four-body bulk that hyenas have. Yes, the dogs are very pretty indeed. My dog is also tri-coloured, brown, black and white. And it's just a mottled pattern that they have. It's really beautiful, and the striking white tail. I don't think I expected them to have quite a long bushy tail like they do. Now they are relaxing. You can see a lot of them have laid down on the ground, all alert. Their ears are always moving. There was a lot of alarm calls going earlier, always listening. Yes, Kat, I did. It's a very unique morning for me all round, and James is on camera. He's our teacher at the moment. We've been in training, as some of you may know, and yes, he is on camera. I hope you're impressed with his amazing camera skills. I am. A for effort, James. Oh, I would give him about a C-, but yes, definitely impressed. I don't think any of us expected that sighting. This is what has happened. So actually, as we sort of zoom out a little bit, you can see those tails, those bright white tails contrasting against the body pattern from quite a distance away. Now, they are the sort of follow me sign that a lot of animals do have for their cubs or pups. So those, from far away, we are at quite a distance. You can see those bright white striking tails. It's easy to spot in the distance. I'm so excited right now. Now, the hyena did go this way and the wild dogs are this way. So we've definitely lost track of the hyena, who could have tried to go to the pan but left. And the dogs are over here. So we're going to try and just move a little bit closer to the dogs. So bear with me. You don't want to scare them, so we're just going to go in nice and quietly and slowly to get a better look at them. They're aware that we're here. They know we're around, so we just don't want to disturb them too much. So while we move, let's go over to Steve, who has the lions.
Thanks, Lauren. How incredible that is that you've got wild dogs. Very, very special. I think you're very lucky. Well done. Well, our lions haven't done too much since you have been away. So we can start getting into the idiosyncrasies of, well, a medicinal plant I promised you I would talk about this morning, until the lions do some action, because as soon as the action starts, well, then my plant information starts to dwindle, because, well, we want to see the lions, don't we? Well, I cut a little specimen of a plant yesterday, and I've got it on my dashboard over here. James was speaking about it last week, about the datura. And this is the datura here. It's also known as a thorn apple. And I picked it last night, so it's lost a little bit of moisture. But there's a very beautiful white flower that grows out of here. And it's also commonly known as a moonflower because it opens up at night. It's white, it's long, and it's tubular. So possibly pollinated by... Very interesting about this plant, folks, is in fact... well, the easiest way to identify it would be by the fruits. You can see the two fruits over here, the green one being the fresh, and this one being one that's ripened and actually dropped the seeds. But this is in fact an invasive plant that has come all the way from South America. It's been in southern Africa for over 100 years already, probably arriving with hay bales and grass bales brought from Argentina during the Boer War back in the end of the 19th century. Because the British bought lots and lots of food from Argentina, lots of horses, and most expensive wars the British ever encountered, or for the time anyway. And this is being an invasive plant, but being in South Africa, I mean, it's here in Kenya as well. So it's probably got some similarities because there was British occupation, probably brought some horse food up here through certain wars as well. But what's interesting about this is because it's been in Southern Africa, naturalized, which means it's not an exotic anymore. They've now called it a naturalized plant because it's basically evolved into the landscape. But what's very, very important about this plant, folks, is that it is extremely poisonous. Extremely poisonous, and the scientific name is called, or the genus name is Datura. There's actually a website out there if anybody is interested in checking out datura.com. You'll find some very interesting information about these plants. In the States, I think it is called Jackson weed, and there are seed pods within inside here. This is opened up now. I don't think any are going to come out, but when they're ready to ripen, they pop open and all these little black seeds fall out onto the ground, and they get transferred by water along the roads, all sorts of means. So all over South Africa where you find road verges, these plants have moved and are quite actually problematic because they do invade areas, they do over and outcompete lots of indigenous vegetation, and being poisonous, highly toxic, is not ideal. But what's very interesting nonetheless is this fresh seed pod over here. can actually be used to cure toothache. So you can actually chew on it, but be careful not to get any seeds inside of you, because the seeds have got atropine in them. And we'll get more of that just now. But the seeds which are inside are small little black seeds, and well, they can be extremely poisonous. But also with the atropine, that they can be extremely hallucinogenic. And well, if you want to go on a hallucinogenic trip that you potentially won't come back from, this is the plant to go for. But I would completely avoid it if I were you, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the fresh one, and this is the old one after the seeds have popped out. And there's a few hundred that pop out and fall onto the ground, and then they get transferred, and you find them all over the roads in South Africa. Deborah, they are quite sharp. They are actually quite painful to the touch, and if you stood on them, they probably would actually hurt. But every now and again, you'll find some form of rodent or something munching on this and eating a little bit of it. But there's not too many species that have evolved to eat this, but no doubt there's a number of moth species that have evolved to use the flower itself. But the leaves are quite interesting. The leaves have actually got a very nice sort of peanut butter sort of smell to them. If you just touch them with your fingers and then smell them, it's got almost a peanut buttery smell. And what's really interesting about these leaves is you can actually roll them into sort of a cigarette-like roll, and you can smoke them to cure asthma and also to alleviate headaches. But bearing in mind the leaves themselves have got atropine inside, and that has also leads to certain amounts of hallucinogenics. So you can have a little bit of a, cure your headache, maybe get rid of asthma, and maybe have a bit of an hallucinogenic afternoon, if you will. But what is marvelous about this plant itself, coming from South America, there's enormous amount of medicinal properties to it. Ointments and poultices of these leaves can be applied all over the body for swelling, for inflammation, for fractures, for any joint pain, for any wounds. Anything on the skin that maybe is not very ideal, it can work really, really well for healing sprains. I mean, a fracture. Can you imagine being able to heal a fracture by applying a plant? This plant can do so. But also can be used, you can make an infusion of these leaves if you're having trouble sleeping. A very light, weak infusion, having trouble sleeping, and also apparently is a bit of an aphrodisiac. Isn't that interesting? And what has been done in the past is a very strong infusion of these leaves has been used to treat sort of psychotic patients. So a plant that is well noticed in the medicinal world, but is also responsible for enormous amount of human fatalities. So use it with care. I would avoid it, actually. If you did use it maybe in tinctures and in ointments on the skin application, I wouldn't go any further than that. The chances are that you could find yourself in a whole lot of trouble. It's regarded as extremely dangerous and extremely poisonous, and the toxicity, let me just read this little bit to you, is related to an atropine-like effect which causes dilated pupils, pyrexia, dry mouth, tachycardia, mental changes, and increased reflexes. Mary, you reckon that you'd be too stoned to know of anything? Well, yes, indeed. The plant obviously has got enormous amounts of pain relief. So, yeah, I've read some stories on that datura.com website, and one of the gentlemen was at a party, and one of the guys, they went to a party, and they all sat around in a circle, and one of the guys went and they just did this and took some of the seeds, like just a few of them, and they threw them in their mouth, and as soon as his friends did it, all his friends disappeared, and he didn't know what was going on. What they had done is they'd gone home and locked themselves in their houses because they knew what was going to happen. But the story continues with this guy who didn't know what was going to happen, didn't know what to expect, had a half a handful of seeds. He woke up in prison, naked, handcuffed to the bed, and he had a rap sheet about this long of the things he'd gotten up to while he was completely out of his mind. So do not try this at home, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, that is the datura, the thorn apple, also the moonflower, a beautiful plant which we find, as I said, all over South Africa. I'm finding it in Kenya as well, but only along disturbed areas, roadside verges, Roadside verges is basically where a road cuts through a landscape, and they are responsible throughout Africa and probably throughout the world for an enormous amount of transport of exotic plants, of alien plants. They've moved in from somewhere through agricultural equipment or through horse feed, as I said, and they've moved in and they move along the roads because of vehicle transport, agricultural machinery moving along roads, wind moving along the roads. So alien plants along roads are an enormous problem, and the roads create an enormous corridor which allow these plants to move all the way down. Should I cut this open, James? Or should we see if we can show everybody the seeds inside? And I'm going to do it. There we go. Let's see. There we go. There are the fresh seeds. Do you want me to hold it? There we go. You can see the seeds inside. They're not ripe at the moment. So this fresh green pulpy stuff could be used to chew for any sort of toothache. Those seeds inside, when they are ripe, they go black. They're very black in color. But right now they're not ripe. But I suppose they probably still would make you trip and extremely toxic. Well, I would avoid it. Very nice to see. Beautiful smell. The whole plant has got a very nice peanut buttery smell. It's got a very sort of that spiny, as you can see why it's called a thorn apple. Kind of looks like an apple with thorns in the outside. And, well, I would avoid it if I could. But nice to know, nice to learn. And we do have them up here in the Mara. And no doubt have come from the same place, probably to do either with vehicles moving through, agricultural equipment, or maybe the British, when they had horses back here, World War I, World War II. They brought feed in exactly the same way. Okay, well, thanks, folks, for joining us for our little medicinal Wednesday, which should have been traditional Tuesday. But we've got lions that want to just pop identify this beautiful creature. She is a magnificent lioness, and I've been trying to spy her with my binoculars to see if I can identify who she is. But it's not easy. Not easy. He is not having any of it. But hopefully she's going to get up soon and we might get some action. The lighting is perfect. We could play a little bit of lounge music for them. Okay, so as soon as she moves, she looks like she wants to move. As soon as she moves, if it is a mating pair, you will see him jump straight up. But while we wait for the action to unfold here in the Mara with the lions, let's go back down to Juma with Sydney.
I am here now following the largest land mammal going towards the Viotella pen area. So I'm just checking here. We still have got the available cover in front. So we're just moving cover by cover in order to avoid detection. So this elephant is so peaceful at the moment, and he's just going down here. I want to see if he's going down for feeding or going for some drink. This is one of the beautiful sightings ever. He's taking his time. I can see he's not in a hurry. He's walking very slowly. Look at these tracks. You can see these are all his tracks. They're not that very clear because of the weather conditions, but you can see these are all his tracks. So the old males, the bulls, normally they are solitary. They walk by themselves. They do go back to their head and meet with the other head members only when there's a problem, mostly to come and give some orders. So I can see now he's starting to approach the greener pasture. That area there is very green, so he might stand and start feeding somewhere right in front. This is a very big male. Look at this track. Look at this track. This is a very big male. You can see the track is like this. So I don't know if this has been proven scientifically, but there are ways in order to judge the elephant age. If you take a rope and you measure the circumference, multiply by 5, it will give you the actual height of that elephant. So some of the people, in order to estimate the age of an elephant, they use the circumference of the tracks. So if you take that, multiply by 5, we will obviously get to the actual size of this bull elephant we are seeing now, or we are going to see now again. The rain is drizzling now. So now, from the largest land mammal to the fastest two-legged animal.
Yeah. Well, I think we have found ourselves one of the largest birds that we got in, is it in the world or in Africa? The ostrich. And when you look on the footprints or the tracks of certain birds, just like how you cannot miss one with an Nelly, like with Sydney, you cannot miss a track of an ostrich. This is the Maasai ostrich. Very majestic when they walk in the savannah of the Mara Triangle, and they'll keep picking up seeds from the grass, sometimes pebbles on the ground. And I had seen a female at one point. It's very easy for ostriches to have their sexual dimorphism. There are certain birds where you cannot tell males from females, but ostriches are very clear in black and white, and that's for the male, and the females are always greyish, as we hear a zebra bellowing from a distance. Definitely not that zebra there. Very fast birds. You can see what some people call the drumstick of these ostriches, because once in a while lions will come for them, but their first defense is speed. They make very huge strides. You can see it walking there. But when they run, they like have the same speed as a cheetah. If you corner them, they'll definitely fast kick, and they normally kick very hard. And they have always been known to turn around and poke the eyes of, say, lions out using their beaks. We've got so many farms now in Africa that will be raising ostriches for meat, because the doctors think they got very lean meat. Sek Diva, you'd like to know if ostriches are solitary animals. In general, yes. But if they have chicks, you'd comfortably see anything, say, like one male or two males with 3 females, and sometimes up to 20 chicks. So Sek Diva would say they're solitary, but once in a while you see a male and a female here, or a male and 2 females, but they do not go in big flocks like other birds, like the ostriches. Very unusual to see, like, say, 3 males together or 3 females together, but a male will always be present. When we got here, there was a female at one point. I have lost her. And one of the most exciting things to see in the ostriches is when they're doing courtship, and you'll always see the females spreading their wings out and just dropping them, and they have one of the best dances you'll ever see out here in the wilderness. I think Bunge is trying to look at that female ostrich, which was around that area, and they don't show very clearly. As I say, they're a bit greyish in color, brownish. The writer, great comment, first ostrich I've seen on SafariLive. I'm happy. I'm going to give myself a little clap, and I'm happy for you too. Only sometimes it's difficult to spot them, but when you see them, it's an area which is very open of the savannah. You'll never
see that now this elephant is feeding on that green bush at the moment. And look at that. A small green bush can easily disappear this big animal. At least now these animals are starting to get the nutritious vegetation. Look at how green that is. Elephants, they also eat trees which are very toxic when it comes to the level of tannin. That is why, if you can check my mic very well, you can see the color of my mic is much more light. What brings this white color, this light color, is the tannin. That's why the animals who eat leaves, their droppings, they get brown instead of dark because of the huge amount of tannin. So I can see that now he's right on the other side, and the wind is on my favor, but I can see that this elephant is just feeding here and not worried about our presence at all. So we're just going to watch this elephant from here, as it's a very good sighting. You can see it's right here. I hope it's not gonna come and claim the microphone, as this microphone is consisted of their droppings. So if I open this microphone now and check, I might find some of the seeds here. So the animals, they help a lot when it comes to the distribution of seeds. In order for these trees to grow, is the ones who are bringing the seeds from one place to the next. So I've got a very nice available cover of the little termite mound there. I am not very far away from the Galago pen here, and that is where these animals, these elephants, are depending when it comes to the water availability. So you can see it's right here, and he's feeding on one of the marula tree which has been pushed over before. So that might have been pushed over by the other elephants. Normally the elephants, they eat a lot of marula fruits. Come December, January, these elephants, we're going to find them around the marula trees, not eating the leaves and not eating the bark. They will be just enjoying the marula fruit. And it's the ones that contribute a lot for the germination of the seeds, because when these seeds pass through the stomach, they germinate very quickly. Look at that. This is quite an amazing animal. Look at that trunk. Look at how thick is that trunk. It's quite a very big trunk, and it can be able to collect quite a lot of water from the trunk, up to 8 liters. So it seems like now he's trying to investigate what is happening, but let's just wait. He's just going to go away. The big elephants, they are not temperamental, so he's just going to avoid us and go away. You can see now that is what he's doing. But if this was a teenager, it was going to be a different experience. Look now, when he's feeding, he's even telling you that he is very happy with your presence. So there are different stages in order to approach the dangerous animals on a guided walk like this. The distance where we are now with this elephant is called a comfort zone. A comfort zone is a distance where the elephant is happy with our presence. If we trespass this comfort zone, we will be entering what is called an alert zone, where he's going to stop feeding and start to investigate. If we trespass the alert zone, we will be entering a warning zone, where this elephant is going to give us some warning signals, such as ear flapping, tail cooled up, and he might even charge a little bit, mock charge a little bit. If we trespass that warning zone, we'll be entering an attack zone, where anything critically can just happen. That is a critical zone. It's an attack zone. So, but now, look at that. He is very much comfortable, and he is moving much more towards that side. So the wind has been on our favor all along. Only now that the wind has changed and went towards his direction, that is why now he picked the wind and then he's just deciding to go much more that side. So now we are going to be taking down a spotted cat. We're going to start from the waterhole where this morning there were some wild dogs there. That waterhole attracts quite a lot of animals. I heard last night Tingana was at the dam camp. Last night Tandy was also at the dam camp. And this morning we had the wild dogs. Also, Osana was at the dam camp. So you can see that there I must have to go and try to identify and differentiate between Tandy's tracks, Osana's tracks, and Tingana's tracks. I know Tingana on guided walks, he's very much shy. So hopefully we will be able to single out the tracks for Osana. So I'm just going to climb this little mountain here now in order to see if I can see far. From here, I can see very, very far from here because I can be able to see all the way down from the Viotella pen to the drainage line. So while I'm going to look for these animals, let's cross over to the Masai Mara and see what's happening.
It's good luck. We know that Tingana is not easy to see on foot because he's so shy. But, well, Hosana, that's a different story. Well, folks, we were with those two lions. Some warthog moved across from behind them, and the female got up and started stalking them, and the male was right on her bottom like this. It wasn't doing much of a stalk, was doing more of a I'm interested in the lioness, and she was stalking. The warthogs just ran, and well, they did a very half-hearted jog after them.
I am trying to check here if we can find any evidence, but I can see that no evidence are clear about the animals who are digging here. But I know animals who prefer to eat the roots, mostly the porcupines. And I would like to take this opportunity and apologize on behalf of the team for the inconveniences with regards to the network failure when it comes to the broadcast from Mara. Oh, here is a very nice big termite mound. So the termites, they are very much social insects. They are like the ants and the bees. Their social structure is called a caste. Let's think about something here. These animals, because they are social and there's quite a lot of them in there, if one of them gets sick, is the disease not going to spread and affect everybody in this termite mound? How are they going to solve it? The ants and the termites, they are so clever. The termites, if one of them dies inside here, must have to go, the other ones must have to come and do the thorough inspection. And that is when they are checking if they are diseases or not. And if they are not diseases, if they find that this one was died naturally, this is what they're going to do. They are going to take that dead termite and bury it. After a few days, they are going to take it out again and eat it. So they will inspect in order to check the viability of eating that carcass. But if they see that there's a problem with the disease, they will take it out. But also, if some of the members here are sick, they must have to treat them, and they must have to be treating them with care. Let me give you a very good example of the ants. The ants has got this, what is called formic acid. They are also staying in the colony. And the formic acid, they can also use it in order to fight diseases. And if they see that they've got diseases, they can be able to clean it. And the workers are so very much careful. Their hygiene, because when they go to the sensitive areas where they are suspecting diseases, every time they must have to wash themselves. They must have to go through a sanitary cleaning. And during this sanitary cleaning is when they are going to be using chemicals in order to avoid the spread of disease. If they identify a disease during the early stage as well, they must have to act. But if they see that they have tried everything and they can't cure this disease, that is when they will take the last resort of taking that animal out or to kill one of those who's got the diseases so that it doesn't spread around the colony. So now let's quickly go back to Lauren, who's got Hosanna at the moment.
So, very unexpected morning. We were following the dogs for a while, who were running exceptionally fast, and we have literally stumbled upon the little chief, Hosanna. It was a very random find, a very lucky find, and he's just been lying here on the grass, but all of a sudden, just in the past 30 seconds, he's got up and he seems to be listening for something. He's not quite relaxed. He's on high alert. Now, there's a lot going on this morning. We've encountered a lot of animals, a lot of alarm calls. So maybe he's just really aware of the things that are happening around him. Now, this is maybe my 4th time with Hosanna, and I still get really excited every time we see him. Look at that cute face. Good morning. Yes. How are you? I think he's good. I think he had a good night. Now, we did see him on our dam cam, and this is what we originally set out to find Hosanna. This is before we bumped into the wild dogs and the random hyena. So during our drive, it was raining a little, but I wouldn't say raining, we would say spitting in a very minimal amount, and the wind is quite strong today. So there's a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind. So you can see Hosanna's not completely relaxed, he's listening. And even in the short time that I have actually been here, I do feel this boy seems to have grown a little bit. Oh, big yawn. Maybe not necessarily in height, but I feel his shoulders have got bulkier. And that's just in the short time that I've been here. Yes, he is looking much, much, much bigger. I've even seen some photographs and some footage of him last year, and he's really starting to look like a man now. He's really filling out. He's probably coming in at somewhere between 50 to 60 kilograms, I would estimate, which is around probably between 100 and 120 pounds. Oh, another yawn. Sleepy cat. He probably wants to rest, actually, if I was to guess. But he's just not feeling too relaxed here to actually go into some sort of sleep. So by that walk and his shoulders, looks like he's going to maybe go on the hunt. Can you just repeat that question, please? I just missed what you said there. Where is Hosanna? We are currently near the dam. Okay, James just helped me out a little bit there. We are at a junction near Gowrie Cutline and Central. And we literally just stumbled upon him. We weren't intending to find this cat at all. Now he is walking away from us into the thicket. So it's just a little bit difficult, so we are going to move. Hi, Lauren. I'm Lauren. Do I have a favourite cat? Oh, that's a really tricky question. Am I allowed to say this one right here? Hosanna's probably the cat that I've actually spent the most time with here. And leopards are extremely beautiful. So if I was to have to choose, I would say this guy here is probably my favourite. We've got a little bit of a better view for him now. There we go. He's plunked down again on the ground. And there was some impala just behind us. He was definitely checking them out earlier. And because the sun's not so bright or hot right now, there is a chance that this boy could hunt. There's a nice cool breeze coming down. It's not so stifling as it was yesterday. Normally we find Hosanna sleeping. He sleeps a lot. So it's nice to see him awake. So while we wait to see exactly what our boy does, let's go back over to Sydney.
I've got some evidence here on the ground showing that one of the males has been here. But let me just try to see these droppings does not have sticks. It's only the grasses. It's different from my mic. If you look at my mic here, you can see some of the twigs and small branches. Let me just smell this. So was the hippopotamus. So the droppings for the hippopotamus, they don't smell like my mic. My microphone smells different. But now when it's dry, it's a neutral smell. Hippos, you can still, I can still smell. It's not that very, very old. It's dry, but it's not very, very old. Here is one of the males trying to mark his territory. He was standing against this, because normally they stand against the branches, and when they are waving the tail is when they're dispersing these droppings here. So this is a demarcation point of the territory. So this was the hippopotamus. They only maintain these territories at night because that is when they are out for foraging purposes. And they can travel long distances, up to 30 to 35 kilometers. So that is quite a long distance. Sometimes can even be more than or less than that according to the availability of food. So you can see the hippopotamus travel long distance all the way from the Chitwa to here is quite a long distance. So but here it looks like it's the first time he's coming here because I cannot see other old evidence. So but as time goes on, we are going to see a pile of droppings spread here all the time. So these animals, they've got different ways of demarcating the territories. Some, they are using anal glands. Some are using the preorbital glands. Some are using the interdigital gland. So you can see that hippopotamus is one of those who are using the droppings. And some, they're using the urine. A child of the universe, the possibilities of a territorial animal to encounter one another, they are very much high at night. Specifically now, during the shortage of food, the dry season, possibilities of animals trespassing to each other's territory, they are high. But this is what happens. Let me give you this very big animal as an example. The rhinos. When the rhinos, if he marks his territory in the area where it becomes dry, this is what is going to happen. He is allowed, together with his family, to trespass and have water by their neighboring territory. But when entering someone's territory, there are difficult rules. You are not allowed to raise up your ears, your head, and your tails. If you do that, it serves as a provocation sign. So at night, when these animals are meeting each other, they must have to be following the rules. If they don't want to follow the rules, it is then that they must have to avoid meeting the territorial holders. Otherwise, big fights are going to take place. So once an animal becomes territorial, that is associated with a territorial defense. Oh, there's something here on the ground. Look at this. I don't want to touch because I know sometimes these can carry diseases. You see, this is coming from a bird. So this is mostly the lubricant. Some people, they will refer it as a uric acid. This uric acid can serve in order to avoid sunburn. I'm going to give you an example of one of the big birds. The vultures. If you look at the vultures, their legs are so very weak. And vultures don't catch meat and bring it to the nest because they've got weak legs. And the legs of the birds serve a lot when it comes to the prevention of the sunburn. This is how it works. Animals, they can be able to defecate and urinate on their legs, these birds such as vultures. When they're urinating on their legs, that helps in order to thermoregulate the body because this white lubricant, it serves here in order to prevent sunburn, just like a sunblock. When you're putting some sunblock on you, animals can use their own droppings in order to do the same. So that is quite a very much interesting behavior. So it's done by animals such as the vultures. You will see them here with a lot of droppings. Then you must know, oh, he's trying to avoid the sunburn. And that helps. You know, the uric acid or the stomach acid is so corrosive of the vultures because they eat carrions. And carrions carries a lot of viruses and bacteria. So when they are putting this corrosive acid here on their legs, it helps to kill the bacteria that are attached to the legs when they are moving around the dead carrion. So they don't easily get affected by diseases because also in the stomach, when they eat those kind of rotten meat, those corrosive acid can easily destroy everything. So you can see these birds, they've got different mechanisms to prevent diseases. Yeah, no, that is interesting indeed. I wish I was a vulture. It doesn't have to spend anything. It's just using, it's part of recycling, When the droppings comes out, they again work in order to do something else. So they don't have to look for something to prevent that. Also having Wasana is the same Wasana you saw earlier. We don't have two Wasanas.
Hello, I'm Lauren Arthur. No, not really. I have swapped with Lauren. I am Pat. We do have Mr. Henry as a guest appearance on camera today. And if you have any questions, any comments, please send them in using that hashtag SafariLive. So, we are sitting with the little chief, Hosanna. After a pretty exciting morning, really. We had wild dogs. Lauren was very lucky to stumble onto them and then go live. For her first time, she did very well. So, it doesn't look like Hosanna is up to a whole lot this morning. He is dead, pretty much. No, he's not really dead. He was kind of just on the side of the road here, and he did look like he was not ready to go out hunting or anything like that, but he was definitely a little bit on edge. So he was pricked his ears up and yeah, was looking around. But now he is. I'm just going to reposition so we can get a better look at him, because such a beautiful cat like this one deserves a better look. So Hosanna is on the verge of being a 3-year-old, and he's established himself very well as a young leopard, especially considering that he lost his mother at an early age and didn't have quite the guidance that a lot of other leopards have the pleasure of having.
Just keep going around. Try through that.
Sorry everyone. Alright, well I'm finishing off this search. Let's go to Steve, who has got himself a fox.
Welcome back. Terribly sorry about the technical gremlins we've been facing, but here we have found once again the bat-eared fox den. And well, we had one adult grooming itself beautifully on the other side, and now this one is on the other side of the den. The one we were watching so fantastically for a while went inside, and I thought, oh no, we're not going to be able to show all of you, and especially Louise, who's directing the bat-eared foxes. But we have managed to get one of the adults now, which is awesome. Doing some morning grooming. And now back into slumber. It is probably the way it's going to be for the rest of the day. They've been out foraging most of the night. Very busy animals when it comes to feeding. Not easy for them to fill their belly with termites. Yay, Lauren. We have found the bat-eared foxes for you and for everyone else who enjoys a beautiful little dog-like animal. I was trying to discuss what happened with our lions earlier, and I'm not sure exactly how much of that story you got from me before our communications or our signal went down, but the lioness started hunting warthog, and the male got up behind her, very unstealth-like. Very unstealth-like, following the female. And well, the warthogs just ran past as she was trying to stealthily stalk, and he was just sort of looking at her bottom, following behind very closely, this big mane of hair. So to me, it shows that the female's probably not quite yet in mating estrus, but the male seems to think she's close, so he's holding on, because when a female is in estrus, she thinks of nothing other than mating. And for 3-4 days that goes on, and then, well, suddenly the hunger drive takes over, and the female picks up her nose for some well-needed food. Well, bat-eared foxes are having a little bit of slumber. Hopefully 1 or 2 will come out, but I think it might be, we're starting to get into the habit of realizing the time and when they are out. And once again, lion traffic jams slowed us down from getting it any earlier. But that is the way it works, folks. Everything is live, nothing in this show at the moment is pre-recorded, so we can't predict what they're going to do, but they could just bomb out of the hole. You never know. Only time will tell with the amount of time spent with these foxes. But what we've noticed of late is that at this sort of time of day, they're either lying flat on the outside of the burrow or inside, and not too much in the way of movement. And then about 6:30, 6:45 in the evening is when they get up and start moving. A couple times they've got up and done some grooming, but the last time, being Monday, they bolted out of the hole and just went off on their own. So there was none of that prelude to movement. It just was, I'm hungry, I've got to go. I'm sure you all know that feeling when you're working or you're too busy doing something and you suddenly realize how hungry you are. MG and bat-eared foxes are pretty much both, depending on the season. I mean, in the Kalahari, which is in Botswana, they are regarded as being diurnal in the winter months when it is much colder at night, and actually their favorite food resource, termites, are underground at night, so they're out in the daytime. So bat-eared foxes move around primarily during the day in the winter months down south. Up here, they go through bouts of daytime and nighttime feeding, all dependent on when their food is available. The temperatures aren't the same as down in the Kalahari. It doesn't get as cold, so the foxes here primarily will spend most of their time foraging at night. But if they have food resources that are more available in the sort of daytime, well, then they'll switch their behavior around accordingly. And after lots of rainfall, you could get lots of termite alates coming out and moving about, and well, the foxes will time their activity according to that. But not against moving by daytime, but out here their greatest threat comes from aerial predators, and well, those are generally active during the daytime. So foxes up in the Mara ecosystem will generally go out in family foraging groups at night when there are still other predators around, but they're less likely to really give bat-eared foxes a hard time, whereas eagles, biggest threat to a bat-eared fox it seems. But for now, they are going to just spend some time sleeping around the hole. Okay, well, it seems like David Gitu has had some success in his southerly mission. Let's go over to him with a cocktail sausage.
Well done, Steve Ovo, for having spotted the bat-eared fox again. We've spotted, finally, the sausage tree pride, and that's one of the members of this pride, and we call her Limpy, and as the name suggests, you can see her limping. Unfortunately to me, the limp is getting a little bad. When I saw her 2 days ago, it wasn't as bad, but either it is a dislocation of some kind, because I've been trying to see if she got any wound. I have not been able to see any wound, but if you look carefully, it's the front right foot that has an issue, front right, and she's still holding her cub very closely. Unfortunately, she lost one cub, and I'm trying to imagine, maybe because of the condition she is in, she wasn't able to rescue that cub, whatever the situation was, on very good time. Cats out in the bush, they do not want to be hurt, especially on their feet, because they need to run. Speed is very important for them. When they go hunting, they need to be on the move. So for those who have never joined us before, this is the Sausage Tree Pride, and with the Mara triangle coming to you live. And this one particular female moving away, we call her Limpy. So what I want to do is to reposition myself and find out where she wants to go. But before we do that, we'll point to a male that's just close to her. And this is one of the males that forms the coalition of the sausages. The coalition has normally 2 young males. This is one of the males, and a bigger, older male, more dominant. That is called Kipuli. So the 3 have been together for quite some time, and we apologize. We have been off air for quite some time from the Mara, some technical issues and gremlins who are hunting us, but now we are back into business. Now, what we want to do is to follow the female, because I think with a small young cub, she could be more appealing than this sleepy male, like the bat-eared fox with Steve. So we just slowly reposition, and we're going to follow Limpy. And remember, this is a very interactive safari. Should you have any questions or any comments, please bring them through using #SafariLive on Twitter. She seemed to be getting into a small little drainage here, either for a drink, but we'll know in a few seconds what happens. still holding to one of her cubs dearly, and I hope she'll be able to raise this one to maturity. Let's see, Bungay, we need to look at either she's having a drink or she's getting herself to a very dodgy place. Let me see. Riva, that's a great comment. You hope she is going to recover from her limpy leg. It would happen. They always recover very well. What I can see, I can just see her tail at the moment. I have to back up a little bit. Riva, I also wish her the same, that she recovers. And I hope Bungay can see her from there. And I'm sure she will. We have another pair of lions here that we call the Owinos, and he had one young male that went and joined some other males forming a coalition, and he was roughed up and he had wounds all over his body, and that young male has now since recovered. So we hope and wish Limpy a very quick recovery. Did you get something for yourself there, or something for your cub? No, these are challenges that get many cats, because for them, are you marking a territory? To hunt, they have only one way of hunting: speed. Unless they lay ambush and the prey comes very, very close to them, in general, they will lay ambush, stalk, and then sprint 20, 30 meters. And during that run, when they are concentrating on the prey, something could go wrong. If something happens to Lippy, that's the mother, and what would happen is the other lionesses would take charge. They are very social, as we all know, lionesses, and they would synchronize breastfeeding her. But as early as 6 weeks, lions have been known to eat meat, so if anything would happen to the mother now, she would still be able to survive. We have seen, lion cubs just nursing from any mother, not necessarily their biological mothers, what we call allo nursing. And you can tell that limb is not very good today. But what would happen, because lions are very social, the other members of the pride would maybe be hunting for her, and especially knowing that she got a cub. The last I saw her, she almost brought down a zebra single-handedly. Whoops, very playful cub. Excuse me. But you can still tell, either way, she looks in very good shape. And who knows, she could be going to look for some food. And even with that challenge of having a limpy foot, I will not be surprised if she decides to take off and run and hunt something for herself and her cub. The sausages are always 5 in total, the females. I haven't been able to spot the other 4. And one of the other 4 has 2 cubs, maybe now going to 12 weeks. And then there's another one female that I've been trying to look for, and I'll be looking for it, which I would have expected to have brought down cubs anytime now. And the cubs running to catch up with the mother. And I'm trying to imagine whether the cub has an idea that the mother is limping. Wow, we're going to reposition ourselves. Sorry, there's another truck there, and see whether they can get a little closer to Limpy. Exciting, I feel full of joy that I've achieved what I wanted for this morning. And as we get closer to Limpy and find out where she wants to go, or whether she wants to look for some nice shade, let's go back to South Africa, to Sydney, who is still making tracks in the bush.
I have got the sickle bush, one of the species, recovering at the moment very quickly. So these sickle bushes, you will see, come December time, a lot of them will be having the flowers, beautiful flowers. Some they even call them the Christmas flowers. So sickle bush is one of those trees which can be very much medicinal. So traditionally, I come from Venda, and we use this tree traditionally in order to treat quite a lot of things. When there is a newborn, this is what we do. We come and take the small pieces of branches plus the roots, and then we boil them. After boiling them, we have to put them safe until they get cold, and then we take that water together with those sticks that we boiled, and we have to wash the newborn here on the forehead in order to facilitate the process of attaching the fontanel very quickly. So if you check, when this newborn, you will see here there is something beating in the middle of the head. So that also helps in order to harden the middle of the head. Very quickly you will see that little one is going to be very much hard on top here. So this is the sickle bush that we are using for that. So the root of this tree can also be used as an aphrodisiac. So you can get the roots, you can infuse it and drink that water in order to use it as an aphrodisiac. Yes, some other people, they use it in order to treat scorpion stings. I have seen it treating the scorpion stings. And I can promise you, you don't have to worry. We don't even consult again after that. Because what we do is we take a razor and we cut with lash. And after lashing there, we put this tree, we burn the roots, and we take that black ashes and we mix it with Vaseline so that it can stick here. And then we just apply it against the bite. And that is going to help a lot. So it's very much easy to treat this. So if you go to my area, you will see some other people, they've got lashes here, just small lashes, 2 lashes here and 2 lashes there. If we see that your eyes are much more dark on the outer layers, it means you've got quite a lot of blood there, and we can solve that. What we do is that we lash here, and we take the ingredients from some of these trees and we put it in there, and after that you'll see it's going to be dark anymore. Now you are going to be fine and your eyes are going to work properly. So that is how we try to minimize too much blood around the eyes. Anthony, there is quite a lot of aphrodisiac in Africa, and where I come from, which is called Venda, you can ask everybody in South Africa. They will be telling you that for the best aphrodisiac, you go to Venda. We got quite a lot of different ones. But if you want to check, to confirm that the aphrodisiac is strong or not, or it works or not, this is what you must do. Normally, we take these trees and then we grind them, and then we use the powder to mix with the soft pulp that we buy from the bigger shops. We mix it and drink, and this is what we do. You take the dust, you must sniff it. After sniffing it, you are going to sneeze. If you don't sneeze, it means the ingredient consisting that aphrodisiac is not right. So it means it's not strong. But if you sneeze, then it means this one is the good one. Yeah, the story of aphrodisiac, it's not going to end today. We're still going to carry on talking about it and introducing more and how we apply them. So here, I am now going to approach an area which seems to be distracted a little bit. So you can see the animals has been here, and these animals were doing some mud wallowing. You can see the big tracks there, and this area can recover. You can see here, nothing is growing. Oh, only small pieces of grasses I can see they're showing to come out. This area, animals themselves can come and reclaim the nutrients. And if they don't want to do that, we can do it. There's a process which is called a mattress packing. Mattress packing is one of the most management tool in conservation. What we do is that we take the branches. If you look here, this has been done naturally by the elephants. You can see the trees are mixed here. If we do through the lot of branches like this by these open bare patches, we are going to have nutrients back again, because termites are going to build the nutrients, and then that is how the area is going to reclaim nutrients. But apart from that, this area, if we leave it like this, it can either become a dam, because next year when the rain is coming, it's going to collect water and animals will come and broaden it. Apart from that, these bare patches, they do host interesting events. If you come here during the breeding season of birds, some of these birds, they do something which is called a lek. It's also called an arena. Here is where they will come and display themselves in order to attract the males for mating purposes. So they perform certain dances, and females will be sitting there deciding males of their own choices. So it happens there. The females must be watching here by the open if you are a good man or not. So now let's go back to Pat, who is still having Hosanna. Let me check if my microphone is still working. It's still working, thank you.
Welcome back to our sighting with Hosanna. Now, in the time that we have been gone, we have had Hosanna get up, go make a kill, and join a professional NBA team and come back and lie back down. That is obviously complete sarcasm. He has done absolutely nothing except lay his pretty head and sleep. So, Hosanna, the name actually means Little Chief, and you'll obviously hear us refer to him as the Little Chief quite a bit. And it's a very deserved name. He has been through a lot in his short, not even 3-year life so far. He's a daughter, he's the son to Karula, the late great Karula, and lost her at a young age, just after 1 year old. So for him to be able to fight the odds and come out on top is pretty special. And now he's growing into a big leopard. He's already at what we think is about 50 or 60 kilos, and it's a heavy leopard will be 90 kilos, so about 200, a bit over 200 pounds. And he's reaching that size pretty quickly. And he's probably got a little bit more of growing to do. He sleeps very silently. Sartaj, I think you heard that right, Sartaj. Well, leopards will like to hunt when it's dark at night time. They will hunt during the day, especially more so here in Juma. But they would prefer kind of cooler weather, just because heat is such a big factor out here and it does affect the way animals function and the way they operate. So I would actually say it's quite overcast, and we're actually getting a tiny bit of drizzle right now, which I think would be pretty good for a leopard because it's nice and cool and it's not completely bright as well. They also will prefer to hunt in thickets and kind of woodland areas, and that's because they're very sneaky, they're cunning, and they really like the cover of trees. Not only that, they will also hoist their kills into trees using those very strong shoulder muscles to climb up a tree. It almost looks impossible. I've seen actually Hosanna himself hoisting a kill up into a tree. It was a Inyala, if I can remember correctly, and did it almost effortlessly. It's quite magical to watch. Now he's getting up. There was a couple of impala close by, and they did, oh, there is one up the road up there as well, but I'm not sure whether he's actually going to go out and hunt this morning. Ooh, I wonder what he's noticed here. Well, we're going to stick with Hosanna and hopefully we get some action. But while we're doing that, let's go back to Steve, who's in the Murray.
Back, thanks, Pat. Spending time with my favourite leopard. I wonder what his thoughts are on the leopards he's seen so far. But for now, we found another pride of lions. I think potentially the same lions David was with last night, the marsh breakaways. And they're up and they're moving. I've counted at least 11 so far, but there were a couple more that snuck away into a little drainage that I didn't quite get to count the number of. There's a herd of zebra and topi in the distance that they seem to have spotted. Just off to the right there's some zebra, and to the right of them there's some more zebra and some topi. It seems as if that's what these lions have got their intentions on, and we've got to try and be very sort of thoughtful here of how to follow, because we can't drive off-road here. There's a road that goes either left around this little lugger or right around the thicket we've just come around. So we need to really think about this. I think I'm going to go around the way we just came, James. I think that's going to be the best option to be able to see what's going on. There was a road that side that went through. Oh no, hang on. This might be the Olololos, because I'm seeing this very pale female up ahead of us here. And very pale again. Ololola pride it could be. 11 of them. They've caught up with a couple adults. But it is very tricky sometimes, unless you spend a lot of time with these lions to know exactly who's who. Unless you get a proper little look at their face and some very characteristic features. For now, they are a pride of lions. I don't seem to be as many young males, so I'm going to scratch the Olololo statement. Maybe just another pale female in this pride. You can see the intention. Okay, I'm going to go back the way we came, James. Bear with me. I'm going to drive back around. Those lions are definitely on the move. Ooh. Sorry, the big hole. Oh, that's reverse. Just navigate the marsh itself. Lots of these big holes are obviously created by the rainfall and mud and, well, vehicle passage. I wonder if they're going to do any grading on these roads, because they are in a very bad way. Poor James on the back gets thrown all over the place. Okay, so hopefully I've picked the right road. This might take us back around to exactly where the lions are headed to. We spotted them from the bat-eared fox den, and the bat-eared foxes weren't up to too much, and we saw the lions moving, so I thought that might be a little bit more exciting. Just going to bypass some elephants on the right-hand side here. Hello, Ellies. I love spending time with elephants, but we would like to catch up with those lions. I hope you all don't mind. We'll spend some more time with elephants a bit later, because they're always busy. Lions, you don't often get them moving, so when they are moving, it's really nice to catch up and keep up with them. Just bear with us for another moment. So we're definitely still looking for jackal as well. I know James wanted to get another canid. Could you say that name again for me, please, Lou? If there are 5 lioness, then it is the marsh breakaways. Oh, there goes the marshal eagle, just taken off in front of us. Juvenile marshal again. Brett, you said marsh breakaways are 5 adults. Okay, well, I didn't count the adults yet. While we get around, we're going to get around to them. We might as well... Oh, hello. Can you get that martial eagle there, James? It's just landed in the tree. It's a juvenile. This martial eagle has been in the same place for the last couple of weeks already. Just took off from the ground. One of the masters of the sky. Well, it seems like Sydney has got a hyena on foot, so let's quickly go to him before it runs away.
We are so very lucky because we have managed to reallocate the Hyena Juma clan. They are now by the new den, which is by the very big termite mound, not very far away from the old den. And from here where they are, they can still see their old den. They've just moved about 100, maybe 100 to 300 meters away. It's not far. So look at that. So I'm so very happy because we have been looking for them for the past few days. Now we have got an active den. You can see that one is now being very much inquisitive to try and check what's happening. I didn't get the name of the viewer very well. Ceci, I am so very much excited to hear where I am. I can't see the little ones, but I can see that the adults are now there trying to be very inquisitive, checking what is happening. We accidentally found the den after seeing some tracks going up and down the same path. If it was not because of Herbert, we were not going to find it because he was so worried about too many hyena tracks on the same path going up and down. And then we started going around in order to check. And thank you very, very, very much, Herbert, for finding this.
Nice one.
Yes. I don't know if Herbert was obstructed by my mic. Angel, thank you very, very much for such a lovely comment. Yeah, they're still there. I can see them from here. So what we're going to do now is we are going to leave them because we don't want them to move again. We want to see them here. So now we are leaving them in peace, and I'm sure they will be settled now. Now they've got a very big termite mound, way much bigger than the previous one. So there is the previous one. MK, thank you very, very much. That is true. Indeed, we are cooperating these guided walks together. We do argue, agree and disagree until we prove that this is real. You can see there is a den. The den that we are seeing at the back, that is the old den.
Yes.
So it's not far. So I'm just trying to check here, but the tracks is showing that it's only them. No other tracks here, no cats. So I'm sure other animals have not yet discovered their new den. So now let's go to one of those animals who are also giving hyenas problems by the dens, as we saw earlier when they were still by the previous dam.
Well, it's interesting how sometimes the hyenas will keep changing the dance, but for all good reasons. Sometimes when they get worried or they think they need to get closer to the food. Now, Limpy is having a breakfast moment here with her joy of Bando, who is yet to be named, or who we are yet to know what sex she is. But after walking about a kilometer, she decided to rest under the shade of the magamia tree, and you can see her young one just nursing there. They normally got 4 mammary glands, and I'm sure glands she is able to choose any that she wants. The direction she is looking at is where the male was, Cool Breeze, how are you? And always good to hear your name. Mother Nature here will always take care of itself. And you'll be surprised, Cool Breeze, to know how quickly these cats or animals recover on their own. Where a man, Cool Breeze, has not been involved, for example, to cause some damage or injury to an animal, we'll always leave it to Mother Nature. So I got a feeling maybe before long, Cool Breeze, Limpy will be back and about. You're looking at her weight. If you look at her, she's fully grown female. We're talking about almost 400 pounds in weight. That's a big body, not to be carried by all the four legs. When you have three instead of four, it's a bit tricky, and one gets a lot of pressure. And having a cub, it makes it even more complicated for her because she has to be very alert. And as times you say, once bitten, twice shy. Having lost that one cub, she would not want to take any chances. For those who have never joined us before, this one lioness is called Limpy, and it belongs to Pride of Lions that we call the sausages. MDR, great comment that the little calf is a little bundle of fluff. Very well said, MDR. Thank you very much, and very happy to know you are still tuned in. Yes, and look at her, MDR, there, just slowly nursing, enjoying the breakfast. Not sure she knows what is going through with the mother. And I'm sure if she would know, she would do anything possible to make sure the mother is in good shape, and that one foot is fixed very quickly. She flicks her tail as a sign of joy or happiness as she continues nursing. You can see Limpy there panting a little bit. She looks very well fed to me. If you look at that belly, I'm not worried that anything would go wrong either to her or to this cub. The only challenge that might happen is should hyenas spot her from a distance, and I'm talking of a big clan, and realize she is a bit challenged in walking, then there could be a bit of concern. But as it is, I think she can be able to defend herself and her cub. She must be a very hungry cub. Lions are very social. Joy, you're wondering where the other lions are, and I have been looking for them, and I can tell you they are, excuse me, they are within a radius of less than 1 kilometer. 2 days ago, when I had them, I saw Limpy on her own, and I walked with her for about 2 miles. She called her baby out from where she had left her, and then another 5 minutes later, they joined the rest of the pride. So they're definitely in touch from where they are, and not very far from here. Of all the cats in the world, lions are very social, and more so the lionesses. It's not a wonder to see one male on its own, 2 males on its own, on their own, but females will always live together, and that is their strength. So having the other 4, maybe now the other 3, because one of them could be giving birth anytime soon, so the other 3 would be doing the important job of making sure this one is fed if she's not able to hunt until she recovers, and definitely the other one, which should be dropping, the cubs anytime now. I'm sure the first 2-3 days or 1 week should not commit herself to go hunting and leaving the cubs on their own, unless she has to. The Kingtail female lioness, which is the leader of this particular pride, is the oldest and very experienced female. And the last I saw her, she had pulled to the side the one female that's pregnant, and I'm sure she was preparing her, or they were preparing where they would give birth, near some rocks or crevices or some little caves where it would shield the young cubs from cold. Shazi lions have what we call allo nursing, And if the other one female that is here, which got cubs, which I guess about 11 weeks now, it would nurse from either. Cubs will nurse from any female, and you don't have to be the biological mother for the cubs to nurse. You'll see, say, cubs of different ages nursing one female at the same time, which will definitely show those are two different litters and those are two separate mothers. I'm not sure I've seen that with any other cat, but for lions, that is very common. Did you have enough? Well done. Like most cats, after nursing, they shake the ears. Excuse me, you can see the mother bonding now with a fully well-fed cub. And how sweet is that, eh? Yes, that is pretty cute, and Lou in the final control, it couldn't be better than that. And this has made my morning, and the mother have sent her back, maybe to more feeding. Well, not sure what she's thinking, having lost the brother or the sister, and thinking now, oh, the milk is mine, oh, what I get from mama is only me and me alone. But I'm sure at one point when she remembers the other one, she'd feel a little bit sad. But again, that's how things work out here in the wilderness. It could have been a hungry leopard somewhere, a hungry hyena which had to leave. We need that hyena to clean this savanna environment. So this is how things play out here. I've known lions losing their cubs mainly because of hunger. That's the biggest mortality from lion cubs. And then number two, I would guess, would be predation. But going hungry is always the big thing. But not this time around. We have been having lots of wildebeest during the migration. Wildebeest and zebras have been in their thousands. And I'm sure the lions have been having some festive season. Most of these wildebeest now have headed further south, back to Serengeti in Tanzania, to prepare to bring their own young ones down in the month of February. And then later on they'll start the journey north, coming back here maybe June, July. We still got quite a good number of wildebeest around, and zebras, we have some that never go down. Sixel Parks, you want to know how long Limpy has been limping. It's a very long time, and that's why we ended up giving her the name Limpy. But I can tell you the last 3 days the limp has gotten bigger, and not sure she committed herself to go and hunt without the others, but it has been a long time, and that's why we ended up calling her Limpy. But the limp was not as bad, but I think could have been, maybe born like that or picked some little sprain that has never been able to recover. But since I've known her, she has been limping. Where do you want to go, Limpy? I would suggest you rest. And if you look carefully, it's the front right foot. Yeah, you can see even turning is quite a challenge. And Limpy, I will leave you alone and give you your privacy so that you can continue either nursing your cub or maybe go rejoin the rest of the pride. And we'll, in the meantime, go to Stivovo and find out what he got.
We've managed to get all the way around to the topi and the zebra herds. Oh, there goes a little bit of a chase. Ooh, right in front of us here. Why is he chasing him? A little bit of animosity this morning. Well, we came to the side where we thought the lions were headed towards, and we haven't seen them pop out. They haven't materialized out of the thickets. There are lots of young topi here in the herd with the zebra. We would have thought this is what they were going for, but we were looking for them in the thickets on the other side, and we spotted a very skinny looking buffalo that, well, has now disappeared into the thicket. And if those lions spot that individual, it was looking in very poor condition, and it looked like it was on its own. If this pride of lions spot that buffalo, I reckon it would be go time. Certainly go time. Oh, there's another buffalo. Okay, so a bit more, sort of 11 o'clock, James. There's a buffalo there, just in the thicket. I wonder if these lions are interested in buffalo. It's amazing. There's some prides that really enjoy buffalo, and there's some that avoid them due to the dangers that come with hunting such a large animal. Somewhere there, I spotted a buffalo's bottom. And some prides are specialists in giraffe, and some just have no idea what to do with a giraffe. So they're in there somewhere. We were on the other side of that lugger just before. And as I said, there's no off-road driving here, so we're all hoping that the lions are going to come through there somewhere. But the fact that they haven't materialized, to me, indicates that they've probably spotted something that they're creeping up on now. And it doesn't seem to be the topi. Topi are quite a fast animal, quite difficult to catch, in fact. Even the youngsters are very, very adept at keeping up with the adults. Hidden, first of all, in the beginning. Unlike wildebeest that run with the adults straight away, the topi will hide their youngsters. Very much like a kudu and a waterbuck will do. Hide their youngsters while they go off on that long trek for water. Whereas wildebeest, they drop their youngsters, and the youngsters need to be able to run with them almost immediately, or they'll be left behind. But then the topi do have two breeding peaks up here in the Mara, coinciding with both sort of rainfall periods. Okay, well, we're going to stay here and see if the lions come through this thicket and maybe catch themselves a topi or a buffalo. But in the meantime, Pat is having a great morning once again, as I said, with my favorite leopard.
Yes, a very wonderful morning indeed. Now, we have actually had a little bit of movement out of the little chief here. He got up, walked, went back down again, and then he got up. The second time he got up, he looked a lot more kind of excited, and it was actually creeping around in stealth mode. He had very low kind of posture and was definitely trying to be a bit more stealthy about what he's doing. He has since laid back down, and whether or not he's lost interest, we will find out. So, identifying the little chief is not so tricky considering leopards. I do struggle with leopards, but we can see on the side of his face there he has 3 spots just above where his whiskers are sitting, known as his spot pattern. And, oh, you're being a good boy and giving us a look at the other side now. We can see 2. There we go, and there's the 3rd. So we can see that he is a 3-3 male, we say, because of that spot pattern there. He also has a pretty kind of smooshed snout or nose there. It does look a bit flattened, kind of like a pug's in a way. And I find he has a very stout head as well, in general. Kind of like his head's a little too small for his body. Yeah, well, here's my idol, James. Now, if we can get a look at the back of his ear, yeah, just as he's turning now, we can see that there is a couple of white patches there. And they are, we think, for communication. So one very well known is the back of the tail. They have a white patch there that is not only used to lead young through grass and communicate to other leopards, but also to signal to birds that are alarm calling that they're not there to hurt them, so they can settle down a little bit. We can kind of see it. It's more on the back side of that tail there, but we're probably not able to see it now. So yeah, what they think is that there is a similar reason for the white patches on the back of the ear, that it's also something used in communication. Now, Hosanna is probably one of our best known cats. Linda, yes, he's got what I call a Buddha face on at the moment. Very zen, very calm, very relaxed. And he's got a very kind face, although that can very quickly change if he's on a kill. But yes, very peaceful and beautiful little cat. Yes, Hosanna probably might want to join in some yoga. I have seen his downward dog and it's pretty impressive, actually. Looking straight at us now. It's always special to be with any big cat, really, but as I was saying earlier, Hosanna is kind of one of the cats we're most accustomed to here, and he really gels with us, I suppose to say. He comes around camp quite often and he's very relaxed. Whenever we come near him in a sighting, he's very relaxed. He's almost like a pet that we would never go near or touch. But it's very comforting to find Hosanna. Hosanna is, of course, we think Tundi's half-brother as well, but Tundi is much older. Now, let's leave Hosanna to rest and head back over to Sydney.
I have got one of the most beautiful trees on top of the other tree. This is parasitism. Look at that. Parasitism is a relationship between the two different species, whereby one species get benefit while the other one is harmed. Here, you have got a plant growing on top of one of the plants looking dead. So this plant is now showing us something interesting here. Normally, a parasite absorbs quite a lot of nutrients from the tree. So now, here we've got a dead tree, and the dead tree is supporting that tree to grow. What has happened? What do we call this? We have got different types of parasitism. We have got the relationship whereby a plant attaches itself to another plant and get the nutrients from the phloem and the xylem, which are the tissues transporting nutrients and water by the trees. Some of them, they don't attach themselves in order to gain that. They attach themselves just for hosting purposes, like this one. If you look at it now, the leaves are now showing that there are flowers blooming. When the flowers are blooming, and when you see that this plant is green in color, green colors on these trees shows you that there is a photosynthesis taking place. This is taking place by the leaves where there is a chloroplast. The chlorophyll pigment is a pigment which gives this bush green colors. So it means that one is there to facilitate photosynthesis. So there is something very interesting going on there. If you look, you will see the beautiful flowers. I'm not sure if you can see the beautiful flowers from where you are, because where I am here, I am not very close to where my camera op is standing at the moment. So, but now let's look at these flowers. The flowers, in order for these kind of flowers to breed, something has to happen. And I've seen quite a lot of people from different countries, they don't really take some of these small insects into consideration. So today, I want to remind you that in order for us to have Hosanna and Tingana and the big elephant bull we saw, these kind of insects are contributing a lot. We have got the bees here. Bees is the ones who are constantly supporting the pollination process. Pollination is the transfer of pollen grain from the same species of a flower to another species of the same flower of the same kind in order to allow reproduction to take place. The bees, look at them. I want to demonstrate something here. When you're seeing the bees flying, you must know that they've got some 3 pairs of legs. These 3 pairs of legs don't serve for the same purpose. Yes, you only see them when they're landing. But when they land right onto this pollen. And the bees has got the pollen baskets. Here on the hind legs, they've got places where they are taking this kind of pollen grain, which are called the pollen baskets. And when they land, another type of the legs is going to take off what has been brought back to the hive. And that is how they even vibrate the body in order to take everything off. These bees are not aware that when they are looking for the pollen grain in order to eat, to save food to eat during the dry season, they are contributing towards this kind of growing of vegetation. So in South Africa, there's even an organization called SABIO, South African Bees Association, which is responsible to look after the bees. Because every time we see bees, people want to ban them, people don't like them. But let me tell you, bees are contributing a lot towards the survival of man, because this is where we are getting our oxygen, is the ones who are multiplying these trees through reproduction purposes. So you can see that the flowers looks very bright. The bright colors is the one which attract these bees. So they come and treat this as a coffee shop. You will see them going in and out every time when they are moving around, and they can be able to cover 50 to 1,000 different species in one day. So that is quite a huge responsibility. So you can see that all this is done for our benefit. So we must have to start looking after the tiny little small insects and appreciate the big animals as a bonus who is well fed and who is contributed a lot for their survival by the very same small insects. So the bees are part of those social insects, which are also forming a group of colonies. Their social structure is called a caste. They also got a king, and they've also got a queen. So you can see in the bush, as I indicated sometime before, that it's not only the lion as the king in the bush. There's too many kings. It's just that they don't hold meetings where we were going to see the different kings in the bush moving together. So now let's cross over to the Masai Mara and see what is happening.
Well, we got some buffaloes here, and what normally would happen after all the wildebeest have headed down due south, the predators and most of the lions are left in a season that we call the green season, and the green season would mean they would start hunting the big prey. The big prey mainly are buffaloes and giraffes. A few old elands that are a little bit tired also stay back, because elands have always been known to join in the migration, and there's a huge herd of buffalo that will keep the lions going until the wildebeest are back again next year. I left Limpy with her young one, continuing, nursing as much as she woke up and moved away to some better shaded area or going for a drink. And I'm trying to look for the other 4 females of the sausages, but I haven't found them as yet. But it's always quite a drama when the lions will bring down the buffaloes, unlike an easy prey like a zebra or a wildebeest. Sometimes they've been known to choose like those small little calves in the group or in the midst of the buffaloes there. Of course, most predators will always choose the easiest prey to bring down. Hyenas will always behave the same. And I'm looking at this buffaloes is like a huge herd of almost 500 together. We say buffaloes do not migrate like the wildebeest, but they always keep changing positions from point A to point B, depending on what they're looking for, but mainly being grazers and also taking lots of water. And just like cows, buffaloes will not go for a whole day without having a drink. Or the trees you see there are the torchwood trees. You'll see them in the Mara Triangle and in Serengeti in Tanzania. Serengeti is a national park bordering the Mara Triangle. Same ecosystem, but different management in two different countries. One commonality in the vegetation of these two areas is the savanna that Bungay is showing you there. Bungay is my camera operator this morning. Yes, Lou, I agree with you and I agree with all of them that this is truly beautiful. And in the background there you can see the Olololo escarpment. Anybody who saw the movie Out of Africa might have had a glimpse of that. And that forms one angle of the triangle. When you talk of the Mara Triangle, it's that escarpment you see there. And the other side is the boundary between Kenya and Tanzania. And then the other arm of the triangle is the Mara River that divides the Mara Triangle and the other side of the Mara. Alrighty, time to move on and find out where these other 4 females are. And I'm sure they're not very far. Limpy would not be alone and just risking walking in that condition with such a small cub. Let's go across to Steve and find out whether his lions are up and about or not.
With the herd of zebra that we initially thought that they were interested in, we're just scanning the thicket still over there, and there's at least two single buffalo bulls apart from each other on our side of the drainage from where the lions were seen. And well, I've just got a really strong feeling that they're interested, but they may be a bit tentative. Big buffalo bull is not an easy meal. And you can see him there. Not an easy meal to bring down if you've got youngsters in the pride. If you've got a few males with you, one male, well, then much easier, a lot more weight. But it's a very risky business taking on a large buffalo. Younger animals, or young buffalo, much easier prey, less chance of injury. Buffalo are well known for killing lion. One of those risks that you play. No one seemingly, well, we're watching very closely to see if something's going to erupt out of the thickets and jump onto our buffalo's back. But no one at the moment willing to risk it. MDR, male lions sort of get the most of their mane by the age about 4 or 5 years old. It can darken a little bit, and I think genetically some males get really, really thick manes, and they do grow for a little bit longer with more testosterone and with more fighting that they happen to have. But from a genetic point of view, most males get their mane between the ages of 4 and 6 full mane development. There might be a bit of darkening, but after that there's no real change as far as I'm aware. But it is hair, so it is replacing itself, it is growing, because when a male lion fights, they do lose a lot of mane. You see tufts of fur and fluff flying off as they fight. But I don't think it keeps growing, it just maintains itself, replaces the patchiness that might happen due to some conflict. But that buffalo has now disappeared into the bushes. So we're going to see if we can push up a little bit and see if we can get a view of these lions. We were really hoping that they were going to pop out for us, but, well, I think they suddenly realized it's too warm. It's too warm to go moving around. Maybe all they were doing the entire time was just moving towards the thickets to go and get themselves some shade. It's possible. Let's head on up here and see if we can get them. It's starting to open up a little bit in sort of places. Hello, Brad. It's warmer now than it was this morning, but I mean every day since I've been here it's been pretty much the same. We start off at about 17 degrees Celsius, 63 degrees Fahrenheit in the morning, and then at the afternoon the hottest it gets is about 31, so about 87 Fahrenheit. So hasn't gotten hotter than that and hasn't gotten colder than 16 degrees Celsius. So pretty standard where we are from a temperature point of view. The sun rises and sets at pretty much the same time. We're very close to the equator where we are. And if we were lower down towards the coast, I'm sure it would get a lot hotter. But we're quite high up from an altitude point of view, 1,900 meters. So we're very high. So it doesn't get very hot here due to the higher you go, the colder it is from an atmospheric pressure temperature point of view. It's why the kettle boils so quickly here, and I can make a quick cup of coffee in the morning. But it's nothing like Djuma. Djuma gets sweltering. I'm going to be back there in a few weeks. You stick to your chair. You wear a shirt to drive down in Djuma, and up here you can honestly wear the same shirt 3-4 days if you wanted to, because you don't sweat up here like you do in Djuma. Not at all. Okay, well, these guys are trying to spot something. Just going to switch off over here and see if we can spot what they're spotting. Binoculars are out. Very characteristic posture in the Mara. Find a spot and scan. Okay, well, we're going to keep scanning and see if we can relocate these cats wherever they might be. But in the meantime, Sydney seems to be digging holes in the ground.
We are now, we are being called by Hebi. There is something going on this side. We wanted to show you something interesting, but something is happening here. I didn't have time in order to talk about what's happening. And don't get surprised, I am not alone here. I am joined by Teresa as one of my guests this morning. So we just want to see here. We can hear the lions roaring. So we just want to be sure if they are very much close. So as we were talking there, we could hear that somewhere not far away here, things are happening. So we're just going to find a nice spot in order to climb high and see what's happening. So we might be lucky. So we're going further. Mike, thank you very, very much for such a reminder. We will follow all the necessary steps in order to approach if it's the lions or any animal we're going to find. So here is where Hebi picked up something. What's happening, Hebi? So there has been some monkey alarm calls here showing that the lions are here. We could hear lions where we were, but the alarm calls just confirmed that they're not far. So we are not very far away from the quarantine area. So we're just seeing that is an impala somewhere there. So far, we are not seeing what's happening. We are not seeing what is in front. So we are trying to scan the area. We are checking this area here. We might be lucky or not. Michelle is giving us some words of support, encouragement. Go, Hebi, go. Hebert, go, Hebi. So we can hear they are still giving alarm calls. I hear them now. Where are we going? Oh, there's a leopard here. There's a leopard here. There's a Swedish leopard somewhere right here. Come this side. It's calling you. Yeah, there is a leopard somewhere here. A Swedish leopard right here somewhere in front of us. So we just want to try by all means and show you. The monkeys are still making noise. So here we will see the leopard at any time. And he is going to come to the open space by the other side. So you can see that these animals, when they are giving alarm calls, they do tell us about the presence of the dangerous game here. We can hear even the birds are calling, joining the monkeys. So we are going to see this leopard at any time now. So we're just going down the drainage. And this leopard is right here. Here, I can see him here. He's here, he's behind this bush. Go forward. Go forward. He's right here. I saw him right here. He's behind this little bush. Yeah, if you can come here, you might see him. This little bush here. So he's just moved. I saw him moving down. So we might be lucky with him. I saw him right here. Right here. I saw him right here. Here you see. Come and see him. You see there, you see the tail there. Yes, right here. Right here. You see there behind that bush. Can you see it?
I can. I'm just trying to get him on camera. He's declared.
Yeah, you can see he's right here. Right here. He's hiding right behind us. This little bush in front here. You can see the tail is moving. You can see there that the tail is moving. That is the leopard. So we're just gonna approach nicely. I can see that leopard nicely from here. So if you come much closer to this side where I am at the moment, we might have a good sighting from here. You can easily get camouflaged. I can see he's standing there. Yeah, you can see now there. He's now moving. We will see him nicely now after this little block. So he is right here at the drainage. So the chances of seeing him nicely. So now we will see him nicely because he is just gone to the other side of the drainage. So we will see him here. There. You can see there he's going there. There. Did you manage to see him?
No.
He was so very shy. I can see that he went all the way. There, you see, there. He's standing, he's looking at us there. You see there, straight ahead. Not on the drainage, on the bank, by the wet. At the base of the tree in front. There he's walking. There. Yeah, they can see it there. Yes. So he just moved now much more towards that side. So that was the leopard who was just trying to hide by all means away from us. It was never easy. He was right in front of us, but there was these thick bushes and he was going around. Every time when we come this side, he goes that side. When we go this side, he goes that side. And then he suddenly decided to go down that way. It was a sighting. Those monkeys gave us a good indication about the presence of this leopard here. So now, let's quickly go to David, who is just driving.
Well, thank you very much, Sydney. Very good job with the leopard there. And I've not been very lucky to see the other 4 members or the other females of the Sausage Tree Pride. These have been able to see Limpy with her cub, who both of them, the mother and the cub, looks to be in very good shape, which is very good news. I want to have one more quick look in another lager, a lager.
So now let's carry on down here and see, maybe we might be lucky with those lions we have here. If it was not because of the monkeys, we were not going to see this leopard because we were concentrating on the lions. And then we found something else before the lions. Maybe that leopard was now going to rest, because by the drainage lines, that is where they prefer to go for resting purposes. So now we are trying to cross over here and see if maybe this is where the lions were calling from, but there are no signs at the moment. I don't think he's going to pass. Roman, I didn't get your question very nicely. If you can repeat that. In Juma, my favorite cat is Tingana. And the one we saw now, we are not sure who he was, but he was looking very dark, and he was not looking like Hosanna, as they had Hosanna on the other side, and it was not Tingana. We are not sure. It was a quick sighting, so it was difficult to identify that leopard. So maybe a standy, as she was also spotted by the dam cam last night. But that leopard was too dark here at the back. All we saw was that the spots were too dark. So now I am hoping to find some of the things here by the open space, because this is where the big sound, the roar, was coming from when we heard the lions. But they were just answering each other. One was calling from here and another one was answering just by the western side of the game reserve. You know, lions, when they're roaring, it can sound nearer when they are very far. Sometimes it can sound far when they are very close. Dick, that is true. This has been a thrilling bush walk. Leopards and elephants on the same bush walk. And hyenas. Yeah. Discovery of the new den. If it's new, because we are not sure if they've used it before, but maybe. So now let's cross over back to the Masai Mara, where Dave is willing to give the updates.
Well, we apologize for the gremlins before, and these things will happen once in a while. You're trying to imagine anything from my mouth to some receiver here, then to a transmitter, to an aerial back of this car, and all the way to some place where in Europe and getting to you is always quite a challenge. Well, we have not given up on the other 4 females, but we're just having a little break and finding out what else could be able to get for you. The days we come, we are lucky we see all the 5 together, and the days we come, we only see 1. And having seen Limp with her young one, I think that was quite exciting. I'm now thinking maybe going to try a cheetah for a change. And it's when you plan to do something else that you see what you're not looking for. Very good morning today with lots of lions, eh? Yes, I know we could be excited to see a cheetah. That's also what Lou says in the final control. We haven't seen cheetahs, and I think now we are going to week number 3 cheetah. But the times they just disappear, you know. They're always about and around, but maybe they take different directions. And this is a very good cheetah country. Cheetahs will always like very short grass where they can see themselves, but above all, where we get the Thompson gazelles grazing. Anytime we could be getting some short trains because the wind is blowing. Well, MDR, I'm happy you are satisfied and impressed with what you have shown you today. And as you say, should we see a cheetah, it could be like, yes, cherry on the cake. After one day to keep his eyes open and with chance on a cheetah, it could be a very good way to finish our morning. Who knows, eh? Like now, it's not very hot. They could just be walking around on the plains. I'm coming to one area which was burnt a few months ago, and once an area is burnt and then we get rains, the grass shoot is very soft, and Thompson gazelles love eating that type of grass, and Tommies are always the first choice of cheetahs. And as I cross my fingers and keep my eyes open like of an eagle, we'll take you back to Steve.
Thanks, David. Good luck finding a cheetah. We haven't seen one in weeks. Well, we went around and around and around that thicket, and those lions just vanished. They pulled the magic trick on us, and they're gone. So we moved off. Unfortunately, they've just disappeared, and that's what lions do, I suppose. That's why they are masters of camouflage. But how amazing is that? Sydney getting a leopard on foot. It's really something special, folks. I mean, to be able to look with binoculars and see just a leopard's tail in a bush on foot, it's very special. You don't get to see that very often. I mean, before starting at Wild Earth, I think I had 12 leopards on foot, and they're all just fleeting glimpses of a leopard moving. To be able to get it sitting behind a tree with a tail or with whatever, wow, I tell you, very, very special. Very special. Oh, hello. There's some reedbuck. There's one on the right. Don't run. Don't run, little fella. There we go. That's what they do. They're hiding behind the bush. A common reedbuck we find up here. 2 males secreting themselves behind the bushes. We've been trying to get one on camera for some time, but well, they don't really play very well. They're very shy. Very shy. I mean, you see those just slightly forward-facing horns. Very much bigger than the mountain reedbuck, which is a very skinny-looking animal and quite grey. These guys have got a very sort of orangey, nyala sort of orange colour to them. There's another male on the left-hand side. And they're well associated with vegetated areas close to water. Go. See the horns? The males have got horns, females don't. They're very shy, elusive animals that like to sit down and hide behind bushes. Nomadic, how graceful indeed. Beautiful, beautiful animals. And there, obviously, their strategy is very similar to that of Dacre and Steenbok. It's to sort of hide behind bushes and sit very still, and then once spotted, run off a short distance and then stand still again. There we go. I was with the Sausage Tree Pride the week before, and we were watching them move around, and these guys were just hiding just down in the little depressions, very close to the lions, and just sort of tucked up and hoping no one spots them. So very nice to see. And very quick, of course. Ooh, a little bit of a dance. A little bit of itchy feet. And as the name reedbuck implies, nice, moist, vegetated. Kelly, the one you're looking at here looks like a subadult. The one on the left looked a little bit bigger. Well, let me get the book out, and we can have a look and show you the difference between sort of fully grown and not so fully grown. The big male, dominant male, is a little bit bigger in my recollection, but let me find for you. Obviously, we're looking for an R, and it's not. Here we go. Common 144. This lovely book that I was given years ago that I never used down in South Africa because there were so many other animals in it. So yes, they are still subadults. The male, if we have a look at the photo here, big male, his horns get far, far bigger than what you see here. And there he is. Look at the size of those horns. Much, much bigger. Sorry about the wind. Can you see that, James? It's not looking very clear on the monitor there. There we go. And the horns much bigger. So these are definitely subadults. They are obviously hiding away, trying to be unobserved until they can be big dominant male like this fellow, and obviously the females on the right with no horns at all. Very nice to see. We do see them around, but as I said, it's been very hard for us to get them on camera because they are very secretive, and when they are spotted they flee. Mainly a grazer in these sort of marshy wetland sort of areas is their home. Very good. So is that another antelope species for some of you on the list? I hope so. It's only one I've seen once before coming up here, and then see it quite a few times since we've been. Albeit they do. They look very similar to deer. Very, very similar. Obviously, the main difference between deer and an antelope is the horn versus antler story. And most of you have probably heard this before, but horns are constantly growing. They are horns. They are made out of chitin, and they grow out of the head of the animal attached to the skull with an outside chitinous layer, but bone inside. Whereas antlers are a very different substance altogether that grow with testosterone in the breeding season, and they grow and then they fall off. So I'm not 100% sure what antlers are made out of, but I'm not 100% sure. But very different in the design, and obviously that's due to the fact that they'll breed in sort of the season when there's not that many leaves and branches around, and those animals can move through those sort of deciduous forests with the horns and not getting in the way, and then they fall off in time for the feeding and the greening up again of the vegetation. So very different adaptation. They reckon antlered animals are herbivores that evolved much longer ago, and they have evolved in sort of much colder climates where you get that enormous seasonality between sort of green and snow. Whereas antelope all over the African continent have not needed to evolve with such harsh extremes, and so their horns are ever growing through their life. So very good. This is the road I almost think I said I'd never go on again, because it is probably the bumpiest road in the entire area. Found myself along it the other day, driving quite quickly, and it wasn't fun. Anna Marie, they're not. I've only seen a reedbuck once before, and I don't even think it was this reedbuck. I've seen mountain reedbuck, which is, and then, hang on, let me look at that map. I don't even think they occur in South Africa. 144. Okay, they do. They occur just slightly on the edge in the top of the savanna just there, and I think I've seen one before, but I can't really remember. If I've seen one, it wasn't a memorable sighting. I've definitely seen mountain reedbuck, which is on the next page. If I just turn over, this is an animal that I've seen much more. This one on the top here. See how much more scraggly it is. Sorry about my hand. How much more scraggly it is with much longer straight horns. And, well, they occur much more in this sort of the hill-sloped sort of areas. But the common reedbuck do occur in sort of the eastern sides down into the Natal area, but occurring in more sort of very, very wetland sort of environments, whereas the mountain occurring much more sort of open, rocky sort of vegetation areas. So, very good. So we definitely have never seen, I've never seen a common reedbuck, even though the name common should mean that they're all over the place. But my mind is saying I've seen one before, but I can't remember where. So I'm sorry, I can't help you there. But they do occur down. Okay. Well, we're going to carry on along the bumpiest road in the Mara Triangle, and in the meantime, Sydney, who is experiencing no bumps because he's on foot, is down in South Africa.
I've got one of the trees here, and this tree is looking dry at the moment, but it's alive. So now I want to tell you something. This kind of vegetation is too clever. Reason why these deciduous plants, the deciduous plants are those plants who drop off the leaves during the dry season. Why are they doing this? They are doing this because they know what is eating quite a lot of energy, a lot of nutrients is the leaves. But the disappointing part is these branches we are seeing here, they don't have an ability to make food. For the trees to make food, they need the leaves. And for the trees to minimize the usage of nutrients, they must have to get rid of the leaves. This is not fair. The leaves is the ones which are manufacturing the food for the tree. But when the tree wants to conserve what has been done by the leaves, it must have to kill them. So trees, they've got a very interesting adaptability when it comes to the salt and the chemicals here from the ground. If you go to some of the areas, you will see trees when they are absorbing quite a lot of salts, and when the salt is becoming toxic, they must have to find a way out. This is what they're going to do. They will start distribute the salts to the leaves. And some of these trees, if you take their leaves and lick underneath the leaves, you are going to feel salt. This is how they get rid of the salt. They absorb the salt, and then they refer this acid called abscisic acid. But first, they send the salt to the leaf. When the salt is getting to the leaf, it's going to suffocate the leaf. Then they send an acid to kill that leaf. And that is how they minimize. They send all these toxics to the leaves and kill them. And then after that, they are saving the whole tree to survive. You can see that the trees are too clever. If you go to the areas, for good example, will be if you go to the dunes and you will see there's mangroves there. The mangroves there by the ocean, they can be able to survive in that salty area. And you will see underneath their leaves, you will see something like vapor. That vapor is water which is secreted by the plant, and that plant secretes water with salt. That is the dripping off of the salt from the tree in order to sacrifice for the tree to survive. Then they send chemicals to the leaf to kill the leaves so that the tree can survive. The elephants, they do enjoy eating the trees with quite a lot of tannin, because elephants, they've got big body size and they eat both grass and leaves. So elephants are not like kudus, which mostly feed on the leaves. They eat also the grass. The grass helps them in order to dilute what is in the stomach. Animals which feed on the tanninized trees have got quite a lot of saliva secretion. their salivary glands secrete quite a lot of saliva to dilute the tannin. So the animals such as elephants, if you look at how much they drink, how much they eat, you will see that water plays a very significant role. We are talking about an animal which has got an ability to regurgitate water from here, which is a special pharyngeal pouch. So it means if the tannin is getting bitter, they can be able to lower it with the water from the body. So now let's quickly go to Koli, who is now at the hyena den.
Hello, good morning and welcome. My name is Oli and we have found a new hyena den. Yes, we found a new hyena den. We've been driving from a termite mound to a termite mound, hoping to see and to find hyenas because we've been struggling earlier to get the new den because they've changed their den. This is Cocky and Pretty. I'm trying to get which one is which, who's Pretty, who's Cocky, and I've heard that Cocky has an ear that has been chopped a little bit. I don't know who chopped it, maybe another hyena, or maybe it was born like that. Cocky is the matriarch of this clan, and Pretty sure she's her younger sister. Cocky has one male cub, and Pretty has two cubs, which is a male and a female. They have already developed spots, and Cocky's cub hasn't developed spots yet. What's happening here is there's hyenas. They come to the den, they visit the den early morning or late afternoon to come and let the cubs to suckle. They don't sleep in a den, they're only here to nurse, and then they will leave because they don't want any predators to smell them or to find where they are living. They seem relaxed and full. I think they've been eating last night or early this morning. Hopefully we're gonna see the cubs coming out. Or maybe we are late because they've already suckled and then they went back into the den. Oh, Sheila, thank you. I hope you're enjoying my presentation and my time here in the wildlife because we are coming to you live. And I'm so grateful to meet you. Welcome. Hyenas change dens regularly. This is not the first time changing their den. It's a normal thing because in their territory they have different dens so that they will confuse the predator. They don't like being detected by predators, more especially lions, because we've seen previously that a lion can attack a hyena. As we know, lions are bigger than hyenas. So they will change their dens regularly, but only in their territory. Oh, look there. They look sleeping, but the ears are wide open because they have to listen to whatever is happening around them. So while we patiently waiting for these hyenas or the cubs to come out, let's go to David.
So well done. Stay at that den and don't go anywhere. We got the jackals here, silver-backed jackals, always moving in pairs. And just like the savo-cat that's so early in the morning, they tend to feed on the same menu of either chicks or eggs. Oh, there they are, both of them, a male and a female. Very monogamous. I think I had a question this morning whether ostriches are monogamous, or was it yesterday? But for the jackals, I can let you know they're very monogamous animals, similar to the foxes, or like the wild dogs, wolves, and always on the run. A very quick territory mark there, to spray and moving on, and then they'll enter in the grass, come for any eggs or any chicks. They also get rabbits or small rodents, for themselves. But I know they can also be very good hunters. What they do, they might chase a small lamb, and definitely not because they're very strong, but they just outrun them. They keep running and they out-tire them, and once they get very tired, then they just stop. Sorry, there's a car coming the other direction with some nice elephants on that side. Are they gone, Bungay? Are they still trying to look for something to feed themselves on? They're trying to play hide and seek like the Savo this morning, and they can see it running. Alice in the background. Let's move forward a bit and see how they can catch up with them. As we see those Alice marching there. There's always one pose of zebras when one faces one side and the other side. I don't know, Bungay, you can give me that one shot here. And this is a very typical pose for zebras that I've always liked when I see them staying in this particular posture. And each one of them flicking their tails for any wind, for any flies. So the common zebras or the Bachel zebras. Sometimes very difficult to tell male from a female from that kind of pose. Same family with the horses. The equidae. A great pose. Let's go look for those jackals, see whether they have caught themselves. I think it could be more entertaining than the zebras which are just posing there. I guess they are somewhere behind this bush here. What do you think, Bungay? To see jackal pups is one of the most interesting things. Steve saw some pups the other day of jackals, and if you look, they're way out there, not very far. Way too far? Let's see where they are. And they're not very far. Let me see. I don't think they're anywhere close, but let's go first to hyena cubs as we find out where these jackals have gone. Let's go back to South Africa first.
I'm still looking and trying to identify who's who here, but my instincts are telling me that the one on top of this, on top there is Cocky, and the one at the bottom, it's Pretty. I'm not quite sure, but I think because of the ears, it's so hard and difficult to identify these things if you don't spend much time with them. If you look at the top one, it's lying next to the hole, like the entrance. That's where the cubs are inside. Because yesterday we had very hot weather. The termite mound stored a quite amount of heat, and then while you're sitting there, that hyena is sitting there, there's a warmth coming out of that mound. That's why most of the animals are associated with the termite mound. this is amazing. Looking at these cats, look how, not cats, but dogs, they look like a dog, but they're related to the mongooses, so they're confusing sometimes because you can say it's a dog, but hyenas are not dogs, they're related to mongooses. And being close next to them while they're calm, I feel so great just be next to them. They're a few meters away from me. Yes, Sharon, indeed, this was an amazing drive, an amazing show this morning because we started with the wild dogs, went to Hosanna. Now we're looking at the hyenas. Really, indeed, this is beautiful. Hopefully the cubs are gonna come out, but the rain has just started now. I don't think so. Oh, I wish we can see the cubs running around outside here. Thank you, thank you. We'll see you this afternoon. Goodbye, beautiful people.